Hello, I'm wood burning some mesh. That's what this video is about. Wood burning mesh so that I can make some gladiola petals and some tulip petals for a couple of rectangular wreaths. When you wood burn, you have to try to go in between the little blocks so that the mesh will stay together better. And I usually cut a whole lot of mesh at one time, several rolls at a time, because you have to stay ventilated, because as you can see in some of this, the smoke comes off of it, and it's kind of toxic because you're burning plastic. And I usually just take a book and put on one end and over the tempered glass and just hold it down. I've been taking a piece of tape and putting underneath the glass to mark the 10 inches. So, because once you start cutting, you kind of get, if you hold it on there too long, you will burn a bad place in it. But you can see here, it's the chisel tip that I'm using that comes with the wood burner. I'm trying to flatten out the mesh because it just rolls and rolls. Trying to flatten it out because I've got more mesh to burn. I like to do it all at the same time, so when I start burning, I can do it all at the same time. That little finger is killing me where I broke it day before yesterday. Certain way I hit this mesh, it hurts. But if you flatten it out, just set a book on it or a box or something, it's a whole lot easier to work with when you're making your petals. So when you cut a whole roll, there's a lot of mesh to flatten out. Anyway, it's working. Only got a handful of pieces left. Okay, this is what I do. I take the paper that comes with Amazon pack, it's the Amazon packing paper. I flatten out my mesh, if you can see what I'm doing. I flatten out my mesh, stack it up, and the reason I cover it with paper is because this, even though it's been wood burned, it'll fray. So I tried to get it as flat as I can. Put a piece of paper on top, another piece of paper on top of it. I've got a couple of books here that I'm going to put on top of it to hold it in place. And then when I get ready to use it, it'll be flat. This is how I make a tulip petal. With 2 pieces of mesh. You fold it in 2, lay it down flat, put another one over top of it, and then you scrunch it along the fullest edge to try to get as much of the part of the mesh that might fray all gathered together. You can see here what happened a couple of times when I cut it apart. I had to, after I'd already cut the bottom off, I had to cut it again and take it apart and redo it, only because the petal didn't stay together like it should have. And this is the final result of the tulip. This is the gladiola and the tulip together. This is how to cut the gladiola petal. You take a 10-inch square, cut it in half with a rotary cutter, and I use a ruler just to hold the mesh down. So that I can cut it straight like it's supposed to be. Then you take the piece of mesh, take the point of it, pull it down to the edge of the mesh, and then start curling it into itself little by little. Might be easier to do if you used a whole piece of mesh, but for the gladiola petals, you don't need that much. You just flip it over and start the other side. And once you get it together and hold it up, you have to kind of take your finger and pull the inside of it up so that both sides of it match. You see what I'm talking about? You cut it at about 3 to 3.5 inches. I started to cut before I even measured it. But you cut it at about 3 to 3.5. And you cut it off, rubber band it. And you put 2 of them together to put it on the rectangular board. The rectangular board come from Unique in the Creek. Put 2 of them together like they're laying there now. You put a zip tie in and close it. Put the 2 pieces together. Pull the zip tie to tighten it. Clip the end off, and I'll show you what it looks like. You do both sides of that board, both, the outside. Left side, right side, and then the bottom you use for your bow.